What about beauty then? So I've got some beauty products here, moisturizers, got some eyeliners. This is a roll-on deodorant. You're probably familiar with these.
Yeah. That looks like an antiperspirant.
Oh, an antiperspirant. Oh, yeah, you're right.
So that's different than deodorant. So antiperspirants contain aluminum salts, and those physically block sweat ducts. And so what that does over time is it prevents you from sweating, right? That's why it's antiperspirant. But the problem with aluminum is that there have been links to increased risk of breast cancer in young girls who use deodorant, because aluminum itself also acts like an estrogen in the body.
Oh, God, it smells strong. Wow. Okay, so these roll-on deodorants that are, for anyone that isn't watching, it's the one with the ball on it, the little ball thing that you roll under your armpit.
The key is to avoid the antiperspirant if you can.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people have, concern with sweating and everything like that. But some people online have done armpit detoxes. So with apple cider vinegar and bentonite clay, you make a little paste out of it, smear it under your arms, and that can help to pull out some of these embedded particles in your sweat ducts.
What is the most compelling study that you heard about as it relates to, because I am always, from doing this podcast and reading about this subject matter, I am increasingly concerned about, putting things under my armpit for a number of reasons. It's really hot under there, but then it just feels, I don't know, it does. Then I read this stats around breast cancer and I thought, gosh, it's probably not a good idea to be like lathering chemicals under my armpit. What is the most compelling study you read on this subject that made you think twice about antiperspirants?
Yeah, it was the increased risk of breast cancer in young girls that are using these underarm antiperspirants.
What about these other beauty products then? Throw that one away. Everyday beauty products. I don't even know what these products are.
That looks like a foundation makeup that you would put all over your face.
So you go like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a concealer or something like that to help even out your skin tone.
Okay.
Cover up spots.
Right. Good.
So that goes all over your face, right? So products that sit on your skin, those are known as leave-on products. Those comprise a higher risk than something you would rinse off like a soap or a body wash, because it's sitting on your skin. So the contact time is longer. The longer something sits on your skin, the longer time it has to penetrate the skin and get absorbed into your bloodstream. Lipstick is also a high-risk product if you're using the wrong kind, because it's going on your lips and you're having some ingestion.
So don't use foundation?
No, not necessarily. Find a safer foundation. So avoid the fragrance foundations.
It smells good, this one.
Yeah, so it's got fragrances in there, I'm sure.
Okay.
Because foundations are usually made of chemicals, right? Chemicals don't always smell good. So a lot of manufacturers put fragrance in there to mask the odor. Even
like lip balm. I had this conversation with my girlfriend the other day, and she was lathering on her lip balm, and I was like, I don't know if that's good for you. And she was like, it just smells so good. And I was like, I don't know. Do you know what? I have this conspiracy theory about lip balm that I've never shared with anybody, which is my girlfriend applies lip balm all the time, and her lips get dry often, whereas I don't apply lip balm ever. Any special occasions. No, I'm joking. I never apply it, and my lips don't seem to get dry unless I go on a plane or something. But I just wonder sometimes if these cosmetic products are fixing a problem that they're creating.
Yeah, I would think so, because if you never touched your face, what would your skin be like, right? Some people only use water on their face. And I have found personally, the more I mess with my face, the more products I use, the more I end up feeling like I need them because my skin is reacting differently. So I think it's creating an issue that wasn't there and then comes in and like, oh, this is the solution to that. It's brilliant if you think about it from a money-making perspective.
But also, if I'm disrupting your hormones with all of these chemicals, then I'm more likely to be causing you to have skin flare-ups and skin issues, and I'd probably even aging and wrinkles, which you're then going to need to use some of these cosmetic products to solve for.
Right. And then they're going to try and sell you some other more invasive procedures down the line.
I've seen some people who don't use skin products at all and have never used them because of the society they live in, and they have unbelievable, remarkable skin. And they don't have the flare-ups and all these kinds of things that we have over here. So I've always been pretty dubious. I think I'm a bit of like an evolutionist. I don't know if that even is a thing, but just someone who has much more faith in my body's natural systems for dealing with things than the modern world would lead us to believe. Like, I know that we live in an unnatural world, right? So there are some things that we need. I live in, we're indoors all day. So I probably should be taking some vitamin D, for example. But outside of that, I just don't buy that we need all of these products like, shampoos and conditioners. And what do you think of shampoos? I've got a shampoo brand here, which I just got off the shelf in the local shop. Are shampoos okay?
Yeah, again, it depends on what the ingredients are, right? Most shampoos are heavily fragranced and heavily scented. But if you look, you'll find some that aren't.
Smells delicious. Yeah, okay.
And it's very highly likely that you can become addicted to lip balm and addicted to scent. I was.
You're addicted to lip balm?
Yeah. Like you said, the more you apply, the more you need it. And then you just keep applying it. And so it's every 10 or 15 minutes, it felt like at some point. And I was using a very heavily scented fragrance lip balm when I was a teenager. It just was trendy at school. What scent do you have? What flavor do you have? And everyone was doing it. So it just became a thing.
What about this? This is a tampon. What about tampons? I had a conversation on this podcast with a lady who had a toxic reaction to a tampon and lost both of her legs because of that. What's your thoughts on menstrual products generally, tampons, period pads?
Menstrual products contain some of the worst chemicals that should never be in direct contact with your reproductive tissues, with your vaginal canal. They should not be there. Things like benzene, there's heavy metals in tampons. Actually, there was a study showing that women who use tampons had higher levels of heavy metals in their body. We don't need those down there. And fragrances, again, with the phthalates, they're also found in tampons. A lot of menstrual products contain scent. Maybe that one doesn't, but there's a lot that do.
What's the alternative?
It's entirely unnecessary. The alternative would be to use, you can find organic cotton tampons. Tampons are made of cotton, right? Cotton is one of the most heavily sprayed crops in the world with glyphosate. We don't need glyphosate down there. The problem is that the vaginal canal is occluded, right? So it's blocked off. It's warm, it's body temperature, and there's also friction. So all of these factors increase and drive chemical absorption into the body. And you don't want to be delivering some of these chemicals directly to your reproductive organs.
You think it's going to have a big impact on fertility?
I think it could. In fact, there are a lot of anecdotal reports anyway of people saying that when they switched out their period products and went with more organic and more sustainable options, that their periods became easier.
Some people close to me have PCOS. I've also got some friends that have endometriosis. Is there a link between phthalates and sort of, menstrual products and PCOS and endometriosis, in your opinion?
Yes, there is. And there is a link with PFAS chemicals too. So these xenoestrogens are exacerbating these conditions because if you think about it, the uterus is an endocrine responsive tissue. It's hormonally active. It responds to estrogen. You're delivering, let's say, phthalates through tampons directly down there. It's going into the circulation, and it bypasses what's known as the portal circulation, phase 2 detoxification by the liver. So it bypasses detoxification. So you're basically delivering hormonally active chemicals directly where you don't want them to go. They cannot be detoxified.
What about my clothes? You mentioned cotton a second ago, and it made me think about the clothes that I'm wearing. How do I know if the clothes that I'm wearing are toxin-free? Are there certain clothes that are and aren't?
That's a really good question. Organic cotton is one way of knowing if your clothes contain pesticides and certain chemicals that are used in the farming of cotton. But not only that, if your clothes are made out of synthetic fibers like polyester, nylon, and acrylic, those release microplastics. And they've also been found to contain BPA, which is an endocrine disruptor. Yeah, you got to check the tag around the side sometimes.
95% polyester.
That's a source of microplastics. Every time you wash it, every time you move, there are microplastics breaking off.
5% spandex.
That's also synthetic. So you're basically wearing an entirely synthetic shirt.
What about the chemicals that I wash it in? I've got some This is where I expose that I've never cleaned a t-shirt properly in my life. Sugar. I've got some fabric cleaner thing here. I guess this is probably a source of toxins. I'm getting the hang of this now. Toxins in pretty much everything.
You're right. You've called it out. You called it out exactly right.
So if
I
wash my clothes in this and then I put the clothes on, I'm exposing myself to toxins. Let me see.
Right, because it's covering your entire body, right? Wherever you have the clothing touching your skin, there's some friction, there's movement, there's body heat, there's moisture. That's increasing chemical penetration and absorption into your bloodstream. So the solution there is, if you like scented laundry care products, is again to use essential oils. So instead of the dryer sheets that you get at the store, those actually just coat your clothing with some type of oily, waxy substance. That's what makes them feel soft. They're not actually softening your clothes. They coat your clothing. And so all of that is touching your skin, it's rubbing. How much of that's getting absorbed, right? So if you can instead look for wool dryer balls made out of wool, people put essential oils in there and let it run through their clothing.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.